Hello, I'm Rob McInnes, the chairman of the Canadian Phi Delta Theta Scholarship Foundation, and welcome to the 2025 awards presentation. A special welcome to our undergraduates, their friends, and family who are tuning in from the 9 universities across Canada where Phi Delta Theta has a chapter, as well as our alumni who comprise more than 6,300 living members of Phi Delta Theta who were initiated at a Canadian chapter. Today marks the fourth annual online awards presentation that the Canadian Foundation has made via YouTube. And in just a few moments, you'll learn for the first time who has won an award this year. I'm pleased to note that in 2025, the Canadian Foundation has granted 21 academic and leadership awards to individuals at 9 Canadian universities, worth over $43,000. This represents a record year of award disbursements and an increase of $7,000 from last year's awards total. Every dollar awarded today is directly due to the generosity of undergraduates, alumni, and friends of Phi Delta Theta who have made a charitable donation to the Canadian Foundation in 2024. Without these donations, we simply wouldn't be able to provide financial assistance to our outstanding undergraduate scholars and emerging leaders. So, on behalf of the directors of the Canadian Foundation, thank you to those who made a tax-deductible donation to the Canadian Foundation last year. Today, you'll see exactly where your donations have been put to use. This year's winners represent many of the outstanding young campus leaders and scholars in Canada today. I hope that hearing about the accomplishments of these 21 undergraduates will inspire alumni to support the Canadian Foundation in 2025 so that we can make even more awards funding available for next year's recipients. And to the undergraduates tuning in, I hope that you will be inspired by these outstanding students who won an award today to apply for a Canadian Foundation award next year. To learn more about the Canadian Foundation, how to apply for an award, or to make a donation, visit phideltatheta.ca. In 2024, the Canadian Foundation celebrated its 50th anniversary. Since its founding in 1974, the Canadian Foundation has granted over $500,000 in scholarships and leadership awards to over 400 individuals from coast to coast. Over the past half century, the Canadian Foundation has received over 3,300 individual contributions and raised over $1.1 million from alumni, undergraduates, and friends of Phi Delta Theta in Canada, which isn't bad for a foundation that is 100% volunteer run. In recognition of the Canadian Foundation's 50th anniversary, we established a brand new award last year that we believe is pretty innovative as it relies on fraternity undergraduates and alumni to nominate individuals for it. The new award is called the Undergraduate Achievement Scholarship, and we announced the first 4 winners of the UAS back in September of 2024. During the summer, the Canadian Foundation issues a call for nominations to all Canadian alumni and undergraduates, asking them to submit the name of an incoming male and female undergraduate who is attending a university where Phi Delta Theta has a chapter in Canada. We send the incoming student an award application asking them to provide their high school or community college transcript, their resume, and a personal statement that details their leadership development experience and plans. Last year, we awarded 4 undergraduate achievement scholarships, totaling $3,500. The foundation passes the names of these emerging leaders to the president of the Phi Delt chapter on campus so that they can consider the individual. Thanks again for the financial support that you've given to the Canadian Foundation, and congratulations to all of our winners. You're in for a great show. Before we announce this year's winners, I'm pleased to introduce a real friend to the Canadian Foundation and to Phi Delta Theta in Canada. Please welcome the president of the General Council of Phi Delta Theta, David Almasy. David?
Hello, brothers. My name is David Almasy, and I am very proud to serve as Phi Delta Theta's General Council President, a role that I've had for the past 2 years. And I'm very pleased to help participate in your celebration of your Canadian Scholarship Foundation Awards for the past academic year. You know, over the past 2 years, I've had the honor of serving as the Canadian liaison while on the General Council, a role that Nat Love currently holds as the treasurer, and have visited a number of Canadian chapters throughout my tenure, both as a volunteer and as a staff member when I worked for headquarters many years ago. But the past 2 years have been really special for a number of reasons. One, we've had some major landmarks. We just installed our 300th chapter last year. Since our founding in 1848, it was at Eastern Connecticut State University, Connecticut Delta, in Willimantic, Connecticut, and I was honored to participate in that. And going into this year, we've had some really remarkable anniversaries that we've celebrated. Colorado State, Colorado Gamma, 100 years of Phi Delta Theta there in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I just have returned as of yesterday from University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida. Florida Alpha celebrated their 100th anniversary. And to cap it off in a couple weeks, I'm going to be heading up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for Pennsylvania Beta. And that is going to be their 150th anniversary. So kind of put things in perspective when it comes to the University of Florida and Florida Alpha and Colorado Gamma and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania Beta. These chapters have been around for so many years, and the rich history that Phi Delta Theta is very proud of at each of those campuses and many others as the fraternity continues to grow over the years. And speaking of growth, we really targeted this past year to grow our fraternity because coming out of COVID, obviously, we had some lower numbers after the people were sequestered in their homes and quarantined, and then people started to slowly return back to campus. So 5,000 Phi was our goal to recruit across all of Phi Delta Theta, including Canadian chapters, of course. And if that sounds like a lot of Phi it is, but last year we recruited 4,500. And so when you compare it to that, you've got about 500 more, and plus we're also adding in some of the new chapters that we're installing, some of which are returns to campus, such as at Florida State University and Grand Valley State University, which is a new chapter, and then going back to Ohio State University, all large institutions. Rutgers, also another school that we're returning to, New Jersey Alpha. And so when you combine those 3-4 chapters as brand new groups, then that's going to add to the totals as well. And another sort of kind of interesting thing is in California, we have a new group they're founding. It is our 25th chapter in California. And for those who may not know, there are 24 Greek letters in the alphabet. So we have a California Omega already at Santa Clara. So what do we do when we get to Cal State Fullerton? Well, we've rolled over. So now our first official California Alpha emerging chapter has been installed there. And so for states like Texas and Florida and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Indiana, those are states that have the majority of our chapters that are near the end of that alphabet. But California was indeed the first one to flip over. So that's another landmark that we achieved here as a fraternity in the past biennium. So coming up, what we have here in addition to that, we have about 190 chapters, 300,000 living alumni as a result, 190 chapters and emerging chapters. So the health of the fraternity is strong, and we're very pleased and very proud of wherever we exist, and specifically proud of our chapters up in Canada. And so thank you for all that you do up there to help promote Phi Delta Theta and grow our fraternity in the Great White North. So we are looking forward to convention this summer coming up, and I hope that all of you all have plans to attend, and we have chapter delegates from each of your Canadian chapters and all the provinces up there. The convention is in Atlanta, Georgia this summer, June 19th to 22nd, and so you can go to the Phi Delta Theta website, phideltatheta.org, to the convention page and register there. All Phis are welcome. Every chapter sends a voting delegate. Alumni clubs can send delegates, and a number of province presidents and other volunteers have votes. And of course, what we do there, first and foremost, is we elect a new general counsel. So we will have a number of candidates running for our board of 5. We have a president, treasurer, a reporter, and 2 members at large. And then we'll be debating a number of policies and issues that face our fraternity today and will propel us well into the future. So I earnestly hope and expect each of you to be there. And then on the last night, one of my favorite parts of convention is a celebration. It's a celebration of excellence, and it's a celebration of who we are as a fraternity. We recognize the best among all of our Phi Delt chapters through awards. And in the United States, we have the Founders Trophy, we have the Kansas City Trophy for the smaller chapters, Founders for the medium chapters, and then medium-sized chapters and campuses. And then for our large campuses and large chapters, we have the Oxford Trophy. And in Canada, of course, it is named the Hauser Trophy. And so that recognizes the best Canadian chapter up in your country. And so I earnestly hope and expect that all of you all will be applying for this award. And I look forward to seeing who will be the victor and the runners-up. And that all of you all, however, should be expected to at least apply for the Gold Star and to receive any sort of recognition of excellence, whether it's bronze, silver, or gold, is an honor and gives everyone something to shoot for. So, then the other thing, that's in June, and then in August, we have our Kleberg Emerging Leaders Institute, and that happens August 2nd to 5th at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, the birthplace of our great fraternity. And every chapter can send 4 delegates to that. And thanks to the generous vision and donation of Tio and Janelle Kleberg. Tio is a Phi Delt from Texas Tech. And of course, the conference has been named after him and his family for a number of years now. His son, Chris Kleberg, is bond number 1 from Maryland Gamma at Washington College, not too far from where I am here in Washington, D.C. But he was a founding member of that chapter there. And so the Kleberg family is very intricately involved and committed to the growth of Phi Delta Theta and to the development of young leaders within our fraternity. And so I hope all of you will take advantage of that. Over the past couple of years, we had a special track that focused on the chaplain role within the fraternity. And what we're focusing on now, after that's for the past 2 or 3 years, we're going to shift focus a little bit more and leaning into the transmit greatness theme of 5,000 Phi Chias. We want to make sure that we are recruiting men, know how to recruit men and develop those soft skills that will help you not only while you're in school, but of course, as you graduate and go into the private sector. And then once they become Phi Chias, we're going to do an additional track on Phi Chi education. And as many of you know, we are moving to a 4-week Phi Chi period that is going to be uniform and standardized across all of Phi Delta Theta. And many of our chapters are already doing it. In fact, some cases they're doing 2 pledge classes in the same semester because they're able to go from bid to initiation within those 4 weeks. And then after initiation, there might be other new member responsibilities. Maybe you do a ritual review or you do an officer shadowing experience where they understand what it means to be a chapter officer, and hopefully they'll step up and lean into that role. And then hopefully some of them will come to Kleberg. And Tia's vision and Janelle's vision is we have about 1,000 men that come to this conference. It's the largest conference in the fraternity industry, even among all of our peers. But their vision is to go to 2,000 by 2030. And that's only 5 years away. And we're certainly on the way to do it. So by extending these tracks and the experiences, there's opportunities to send more delegates to these conferences. And honestly, I've been to several over the years, but I went to one as an undergraduate and it was incredibly impressive. And then as many of you may know, our theme for the past 2 years, this biennium, was a focus on rectitude and getting back to the principles. And that was directly coming out of COVID and some of the needs of our members when it came to mental health and leadership qualities and some D&I initiatives where folks were feeling that the fraternity was not as inclusive as it could or should be. And so we felt that the chaplain role would be the best role to help develop on all of those issues, to help find resources for those who may need them, and to make sure that everyone is focused on the precepts of the fraternity that have to do with compassion and have to do with empathy and have to do with making a difference in your community. That's something that we're all called to be as Phis, whether you're a person of faith or not. So now we're shifting away from that when it comes to the tracks, but of course the principles are core and key as to who we are as Phi Delts. Friendship's easy. We all understand that one. The brotherhood that we experience day to day is a gift. Sound learning, of course, is why we're here today. We're here to get an education and to hopefully use those skills and that knowledge and the academic prowess that we achieve in the classroom and propel that into a career post-graduation. And then the rectitude piece of it is the one that was a little bit harder to sort of define. And so we felt it was important to lean into that and that we could exemplify those principles of Phi Delta Theta, all three, because they're all three equally important. But I'm thrilled to talk to you today about some of the things that we are celebrating, including scholarship. And the quality of the students who apply for these scholarships every year after reading these resumes and the applications are absolutely incredible. So I just want to congratulate you, first of all, for that. 2024 actually marked the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Canadian Foundation. So that's another landmark achievement that happened here in the past biennium. And the Canadian Foundation has made a concerted effort to increase the dollar amount and the number of awards that it makes annually. And this year is no exception. Everyone has a role in growing the Canadian Foundation to help our chapters. The undergraduates through the nomination and the excellent academic and leadership candidates that you set forth, and perhaps even using the foundation as a recruitment tool as you're talking to potential new members about ways to offset some of the rising college expenses and costs through applying for these awards and receiving them after the review process has been completed. And then once you graduate as an alumnus, we encourage you to become and maintain your support of the fraternity so that we may carry the torch forward, as it were, as a regular donor. And it doesn't have to be $100 million every year. It could be, a couple $100, whatever you're able to do each year, that it all goes a long way. And if everyone continued in that practice of giving and doing it consistently over the years, then you can set up the endowments, and then the interest of those investments will continue to be passed down to our undergraduates. And one of the things I'm most proud about within Phi Delta Theta over the past few years that started under my predecessor, Mo Stevens, when he was president general counsel, is the first generation scholarship. And these are scholarships who go to undergraduates who are in college for the first time, maybe the first person in their family, rather, to go to college. And so that's something that our fraternity started, and now many other fraternities are starting to do it as well. But I do think it is a differentiator and something that I'm very pleased, because as the changing demographics continue to evolve, it's important that we recruit men from various backgrounds, and many of those might be from families who have never sent a family member to college before. So and that means that likely, most definitely, they've not been in a fraternity before. So if they don't understand what it means to be a college student, and they're coming to it from a very fresh perspective and learning everything for the first time, what better place than to find a support network to both help with the mental health piece of it, to create a place of belonging and friendship. And we also see that graduation rates are higher for those who belong to fraternities. And of course, universities also benefit because alumni who belong to these organizations typically give back to their universities as well, to their alma maters, in addition to their fraternity, to make sure that both institutions can not only continue to grow and exist, but to thrive. So those two things, both as an undergraduate and as an alumnus, we have a role. And so right now, the foundation, it relies, the undergraduate achievement scholarships relies solely on alumni to nominate incoming freshmen. And so last year, the Canadian Foundation awarded $3,500 in UAS scholarships to non-Phis, and some of which who have become brothers. So that's kind of an interesting take, that incoming freshmen can be nominated, and then we can potentially use that as a recruitment tool to introduce them to the fraternity, some of which have been initiated and some of them have not, but it's really a great effort, and so we encourage you all to do that as well. So hopefully you all will make your way to either convention or Clayburgh. And as a side, by the way, there are travel reimbursements. There's an initiative that the Canadian Foundation does support to make sure that we can offset some of those expenses to get you to Oxford, Ohio. And so that reimbursement is there, and it's been doubled this year for chapters. So up to $1,200 for chapters outside of Ontario that might need to fly. So that's something to really take advantage of. And as we have these new tracks for Phi education and recruitment, it's important that we're all trained on those tools so that we can be as successful as possible. So with that, brother, congratulations to all the recipients tonight, and congratulations to all those who are nominated, and continue to carry on the best and brightest of Phi Delta Theta, not only in Canada, but throughout the entire Phi Delt world. So with that, congratulations. Hope to see you this summer, and I'm very proud to be a Phi.
Dave, thanks again for joining us today to help celebrate our 2025 award winners. Now it's time to announce the winners of this year's Canadian Foundation Awards. Our announcements are being made tonight by the 15 directors of the Canadian Foundation. Our first 4 awards today will be from Manitoba Alpha. In 2018, alumni of Manitoba Alpha at the University of Manitoba established an endowed academic and leadership fund. Thanks to the exceptional generosity of alumni, of active brothers, and of friends of the chapter, we have raised more than $300,000, allowing us to make awards to deserving candidates every year since. This year, I'm proud to announce that we have 2 award winners for each of the 2 separate pathways recognized by the Canadian Foundation, the academic and leadership pathways. I'll be announcing the Manitoba Alpha Academic Pathway Awards. The winners of the Academic Pathway Awards are Simarpal Singh and Kavi Desai. Simarpal is a third-year student at the University of Manitoba, majoring in psychology. He has served his chapter as Philanthropy and Community Service Chair and is presently the chapter treasurer while maintaining a cumulative GPA of 3.25. Committed to the greater Winnipeg community, Simarpal volunteers with the Health Sciences Center and aids budding business entrepreneurs. We're pleased to recognize Simarpal with an award from the Manitoba Fund of the Canadian Foundation in the amount of $1,875. Congratulations. Kavi Desai is a third-year student at the University of Manitoba, pursuing a Bachelor of Science honors degree in physics and astronomy with a minor in mathematics. He has a cumulative GPA of 4.0 and made the 2024 Dean's List. He acts as a voluntary physics tutor for first-year students and assists his chapter brothers in their studies as the academic and scholarship chairman. We're pleased to award Kavi with an $1,875 grant from the Manitoba Alpha Fund of the Canadian Foundation. Congratulations.
Good evening. I'm Chris Uglanica, an alumnus of Alberta Alpha at the University of Alberta, and I represent Alberta Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. Additionally, I serve as chairman of the Foundation's Awards Committee, and I joined the board in 2014. The 2025 winners of the Manitoba Alpha Leadership Pathway Awards are Prabnor Singh and Adam Dubinsky. Prabnor is a fourth-year student at the University of Manitoba, majoring in political studies with a minor in women and gender studies. In addition to his work with his chapter as philanthropy co-chair and alumni secretary, Prabnor is heavily involved in several university campus groups, including serving as the president of the Students' Union, the founder of the University of Manitoba Punjabi Students Association, and as an active member of several other student organizations. Prabnor is heavily involved outside the university in a multitude of community organizations. In 2022 and 2023, Prabnor made the Dean's List for academic achievements. Congratulations to Prabnor with an award from the Manitoba Alpha Fund totaling $1,875. Adam Dubinsky is currently completing his graduate studies in science with a major in earth sciences and exploration geology. Adam has been involved in his chapter as warden and in charge of risk management, and has maintained a 3.67 GPA through his studies, and recently received the Caldwell Teaching Assistantship Award. He is president of the University of Manitoba's Earth Sciences Graduate Students Association, Adam is also involved in several broader campus and non-university community initiatives. The Canadian Foundation recognizes Adam with an award from the Manitoba Alpha Fund in the amount of $1,875. Congratulations to both Prabnor and Adam.
I'm Sanjay Soda, an alumnus of Ontario Delta at York University, and I represent Ontario Delta as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I was elected to the board earlier this year. The next series of awards are from the academic pathway for the rest of the Canadian chapters. Our first academic pathway award winner is Riddhyanesh Jain. Riddhyanesh Jain is a first-year science student at the University of Toronto majoring in economics and statistics. Riddhyanesh boasts a 3.4 GPA. He's also Ontario Alpha's Brotherhood Chair. In addition to his involvement with Phi Delta Theta on campus, he's also involved with the Business Student Association and 2 sporting clubs. Off campus, he's involved as a fundraiser for various local and international charities. We are delighted to recognize Riddhyanesh with the award in the academic pathway in the amount of $2,000. Congratulations.
I'm Jean-Michel Blais, an alumnus of Quebec Alpha at McGill University, and I represent Quebec Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I joined the board in 2020. Our next winner is Sam Strong. Sam is a first-year art student majoring in economics with a minor in history and philosophy of science at McGill University. He boasts a current and cumulative 4.0 GPA. He was recently elected president of Quebec Alpha. A lifelong rower, he has continued to contribute to this passion by establishing a volunteer program to allow those from less privileged backgrounds to try the sport of rowing. We are pleased to grant Sam with an award in the academic pathway of $3,000. Félicitations.
I'm Kirpi Sangera, an alumnus of British Columbia Alpha at UBC. I represent BC Alpha as a director of the Canadian Foundation, and I joined the board in 2015. Our next award winner is Ethan Tinevez. Ethan is a second-year business student majoring in finance at the University of British Columbia. He boasts a current GPA of 4.0 and a cumulative GPA of 3.9. In 2024, he was recognized as a Trek Excellence Scholar, the top 5% of academic performers. He made the Dean's List, the top 3% of his faculty, and was selected for an exclusive capital markets course. He was involved as an organizer and participant in BC Alpha's signature fundraising event, Drop the Puck for Men's Mental Health. I'm pleased to announce that Ethan has won a Canadian Foundation Award in the academic pathway totaling $3,250. Congratulations, Ethan.
Hello again. Our next winner is Yusuf Rahman. Yusuf is a second-year business student majoring in finance at York University. He boasts a 3.5 current GPA and a 3.4 cumulative GPA. His influence has been cited as being instrumental in fostering a culture of high achievement within Ontario Delta. Yusuf has held the positions of vice president and recruitment chair. He is also involved in several campus clubs and community organizations. We are delighted to recognize Yusuf with an award in the academic pathway in the amount of $2,000. Congratulations.
I'm Sean Galloway, an alumnus of Ontario Beta at the University of Western Ontario. I also represent Ontario Beta as a director on the Canadian Foundation, a position I was elected to in 2024. Our next winner is Stephen Lee. Stephen is a second-year engineering student majoring in automation engineering technology at McMaster University. He boasts a current GPA of 3.5 and a cumulative GPA of 3.6. In 2023, he made the Dean's List. Stephen has been an active member in Ontario Gamma's fundraising initiatives and community service programs. His involvement in philanthropy extends beyond his chapter to the broader McMaster campus, where he's also a member of several clubs and intramural teams. Please join me in congratulating Stephen with an academic pathway award of $1,000. Congratulations to you, Stephen.
Hi, I'm Mark Ballantyne, an alumnus of Alberta Alpha at the University of Alberta, and I represent Alberta Alpha as the director on the Canadian Foundation. I'm the Foundation's chairman of its Planning and Communications Committee. I was elected to the board in 2022. Our next winner is Z. Saeed. Z is a fourth-year science student majoring in computer science and minoring in economics at the University of Alberta. He boasts a current 3.8 GPA that allowed him to make the 2024 Dean's List. He occupied the roles of social chairman and warden at Alberta Alpha. He is active on campus as a member of several clubs and has organized several blood drives for his chapter. We are delighted to recognize Z with an award in the academic pathway in the amount of $2,000. Congratulations.
I'm Neil Park, an alumnus of Ontario Alpha at the University of Toronto, and I represent Ontario Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I also serve as the Foundation's treasurer. I was elected to the board in 2023. Our final award winner in the academic pathway is William Wang. William is a second-year science student majoring in economics and actuarial science with a minor in statistics and business fundamentals at the University of Toronto. He boasts a current and cumulative GPA of 3.67. In 2023, William was a U of T scholar and made the Dean's List and Honor Roll in 2024. He has acted as secretary for Ontario Alpha. On campus, he is heavily involved in the 2024-25 Varsity Blues mock trial team. I'm happy to announce that William has won a $2,000 award in the academic pathway. Congratulations, William.
I'm Milan Vyas, an alumnus of Ontario Gamma at McMaster University, and I represent Ontario Gamma as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I was elected to the board in 2024. The next series of awards is for the leadership pathway for all Canadian universities except Manitoba Alpha. Our first leadership pathway award winner is Carson Leckie. Carson is a fourth-year business student at the University of British Columbia, majoring in finance and real estate. During his time at British Columbia Alpha, he has served as member-at-large, apparel chairman, social chairman, recruitment chairman, and now as president. He is active in several UBC clubs and associations as a fundraiser and volunteer, including with Drop the Puck for Mental Health, the Cause We Care Foundation, and the UBC Finance Association. In addition to all his contributions, he has maintained a cumulative GPA of 3.0. Carson has been granted an award in the leadership pathway totaling $2,000. Congratulations.
I'm Ernie Chan, an alumnus of Nova Scotia Alpha at Dalhousie University, and I'm the producer of the Canadian Foundation Awards Show. Our next winner is Clifford Jasper C.J. Ozy. CJ is in his fourth year as a fine arts student specializing in sculpture at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan. He boasts a current GPA of 3.7 and a cumulative GPA of 3.6. CJ has held the position of treasurer and is currently British Columbia Gamma's president. During his tenure, he's made several significant changes in the administrative and financial accountability of his chapter, eliminating the chapter's debt and ensuring a sound financial future. He's also involved in various art-related campus groups. We're pleased to recognize CJ with an award in the leadership pathway in the amount of $2,000. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Norm Paquette, an alumnus of Ontario Epsilon at Carleton University, and I represent Ontario Epsilon as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I was first elected to the board in 2024. Our next award recipient is Joshua Little. Joshua is a fourth-year engineering student majoring in computer science at York University. He has a 3.0 cumulative GPA and a current GPA of 3.3. Joshua currently occupies the position of vice president at Ontario Delta and was previously treasurer for 2 years. He is involved in several campus clubs and regularly tutors other students, including his chapter brothers. He is a member of the Lassonde Student Congress, representing the Faculty of Engineering. Joshua is being awarded a grant in the leadership pathway in the amount of $2,000. Congratulations, Joshua.
Hi, I'm Bruno Pietrobon, an alumnus of Quebec Alpha at McGill University, and I represent Quebec Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I was elected to the board in 2015, and I'm proud to be a former winner of a Canadian Foundation scholarship in 1985 and again in 1986. Our next winner is Robert Butenko. Robert is in his first year at McGill University, majoring in honors economics and finance. He boasts a 3.43 GPA. He is currently Quebec Alpha's vice president. Prior to his arrival at McGill, Robert was involved in several school-related and community projects where he developed his leadership and fundraising skills. I'm pleased to recognize Robert with an award in the leadership pathway of $2,000. Congratulations to you, Robert.
Hi again. Our final winner in the leadership pathway is Apollo Ebert. Apollo is a fourth-year student at the University of Alberta working towards his Bachelor of Science in Animal Health. During his time with Alberta Alpha, he has occupied the roles of Risk Management Chair, Treasurer, and Vice President. Apollo has consistently demonstrated his dedication to animal welfare through several volunteer efforts, most notably with the Calgary Stampede and the Alberta Helping Animals Society. Apollo is receiving an award in the Leadership Pathway for $1,000. Congratulations, Apollo.
Hi, my name is Tobin Davis. I'm an alumnus of Nova Scotia Alpha at Dalhousie University, and I represent Nova Scotia Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I was elected to the board earlier this year, and I'm also a proud former winner of this Canadian Scholarship Award back in 1993. Since 1996, the foundation has awarded the J. Fred Green Award to the top academic scholarship recipient across the country. This award is named in honor of Brother Green, who was initiated into the Ontario Alpha chapter at the University of Toronto on November 15th, 1926. He had a lifetime of contributions to the fraternity. He was chapter advisor, alumni club secretary, province president, and most relevant to us right now is one of the founders of the Canadian Foundation in 1974. Although Brother Green entered the chapter grant in 2004, his legacy lives on in the Canadian Foundation's top academic award. This year, we are pleased to present the J. Fred Green Award to Jonah Lebu of Nova Scotia Alpha, Dalhousie University. Congrats. Jonah is a third-year arts and social sciences student majoring in philosophy and contemporary studies at the University of King's College, where I also went to, at Dalhousie University. He boasts an impressive cumulative GPA of 3.9, and he's been on the president's list for the past 2 years, while also being a University of King's College in-course scholarship recipient. He is presently Nova Scotia Alpha Secretary and very involved in campus community as treasurer of the Debate Society and president of the King's Literary Society. He has also coached youth in Nova Scotia high schools in the art of debate. Please join us in recognizing Jonah as the 2025 J. Fred Green Award winner, the Canadian Foundation's top academic pathway recipient this year. Jonah will be receiving a check in the amount of $4,000. Congratulations, Jonah. Great job.
I'm John T. Harris, an alumnus of Ontario Alpha at the University of Toronto, and I represent Ontario Alpha as a director on the Canadian Foundation. I also serve as the Foundation Investment Committee Chairman. Each year, the John McCracken Ontario Alpha Leadership Award is awarded to the top undergraduate attending the University of Toronto who demonstrates exceptional leadership qualities. This year, we are delighted to present the John McCracken Award to Anjay Arachi. Anjay is a second-year business student majoring in management and strategy. He boasts a current GPA of 3.75 and a cumulative GPA of 3.38. He has occupied the positions of Ontario Alpha's recruitment chair, warden, and is currently the chapter's Phi Chi educator. Despite his short tenure in Phi Delta Theta, he has personally recruited 6 new members into this chapter. Anjay is active on campus as the captain of the varsity mock trial team and is a director of events for the Rotman Commerce Law Association. Anjay is being recognized as the John McCracken Award winner for 2025 with a check for $3,500. Congratulations.
Hello again. This is the 4th year that we have awarded the D. Grant Laurie Leadership Award to the top Leadership Award recipient across the country. This award is named in recognition of Brother Grant Laurie, who was initiated into the Ontario Alpha chapter at the University of Toronto on November 30th, 1966. Grant has enjoyed a long association with the fraternity in a volunteer capacity. He was the Alpha North Province President from 1984 to 89 and an Ontario Alpha House Corporation member from 2016 to 17. His deepest involvement in Phi Delta Theta has been as a director of this very Canadian Foundation, where he served as its chairman for many years until stepping down in 2022. We are honored to recognize Grant's longstanding contributions and leadership to the foundation and award its fourth ever winner, Daniel Chu of the Ontario Gamma chapter at McMaster University. Daniel is a third-year arts and science student majoring in social psychology with a minor in psychology at McMaster University. He boasts a cumulative GPA of 3.8, and in 2023, he was inducted into the McMaster chapter of the Golden Key International Honor Society, recognizing scholastic achievement and excellence among international college and university students. He has demonstrated significant leadership in his chapter by occupying many positions such as Vice President, Social Chair, and Risk Management Chair. Daniel is currently Ontario Gamma's President-elect. On campus, he is actively involved in several student groups and events. Off campus, his community involvement has been as a fundraiser and participant in several initiatives, including the Westdale Run Club and Mission Services Hamilton. We are delighted to recognize that Daniel wins the D. Grant Laurie Leadership Award, the top scoring candidate for the Canadian Foundation this year. His award is for $4,000. Congratulations, Daniel.
Well, that about wraps it up for the Canadian Foundation's awards presentation event for 2025. Thanks again to the Foundation directors and to the General Council President, David Almasy, for joining us today. I also want to thank Nova Scotia Alpha alumnus Ernie Chan for once again volunteering to produce this awards presentation on YouTube. Congratulations to each of the 21 award winners today who have won a record $43,250 this year. In the coming days, the Canadian Foundation will be reaching out to each winner by email to provide them with the details about their award and to arrange for checks to be mailed. Most importantly, thank you to each and every individual who has made a monetary donation to the Canadian Foundation in 2024. A growing number of alumni choose to make their tax-deductible donations on a recurring monthly basis, and some leverage the charitable matching gift programs offered by their employer, or to direct their United Way payroll charitable contributions to the Canadian Foundation. Regardless of how one chooses to make a donation, every penny is put to great use, as you've seen tonight. For more information on how to make a donation, please visit PhiDeltaTheta.ca. For the Canadian Scholarship Foundation of Phi Delta Theta, I'm Rob McInnes. Thanks for tuning in, and proud to be a Phi.